Research Triangle Institute was established as the first centerpiece of Research Triangle Park 60 years ago. And the idea behind the institute was to create a not-for-profit independent research institute that would benefit the universities by having a place for their high-level graduates to come and work and do research and development. Because at that point in time, the three Triangle universities were creating really high-level trained individuals in science who were leaving the area and going to other parts of the country for employment. The natural products chemistry area led to the discovery of Taxol, which is a major chemotherapeutic agent in the world these days. At the beginning of Research Triangle Institute, we were given 185 acres of land in Research Triangle Park and a $500,000 grant. 60 years later, you have an organization that has 5,000 staff, has projects around the world, approximately 3,500 projects a year in 70 countries. I think improving the human condition is something that we are very serious about here. It's the reason people come to this organization. It's the reason people stay at this organization. It defines what we do in terms of the problems that we're interested in. We have everything from lab science to people who are doing technical assistance in the developing world. We place a premium on people working together to address really important large problems in the world. We collaborate actively with the local universities so that we can bring in their expertise and we're able to complement what they're capable of doing.
The range of work that's done at RTI really is remarkable. And there'll be many people I encounter who are familiar with one part of what RTI does, but when they see the range of things, ranging from pharmacoepidemiology to the opioid crisis research, or work on chemistry, engineering, water sustainability, economics, international development, it's difficult to generalize, but it's remarkable, impactful work in a variety of areas.
Well, because of that need for that data, we have developed a research study called Early Check, which has established a North Carolina statewide voluntary opt-in newborn screening where parents can choose to have their child screened for 2 additional conditions that aren't currently being screened for. The thing that really is meaningful is, like when you think about your neighbors, right, and that your North Carolina neighbors, that a family might be able to get this information earlier, and that ultimately their child might be, helped and be able to be treated earlier and have a better life.
One of the fabulous things about being at RTI is that since it's a nonprofit research institute, we reinvest funds into causes that are important but aren't currently necessarily being followed to start. Clean Water for Carolina Kids is an outgrowth of that. We recognize that the state of North Carolina had no regulation or data on whether there was lead at the tap in child care centers and schools. And RTI provided us with a grant to, 1, identify whether there's lead at the tap in child care centers, and 2, test a protocol to see whether it's feasible to detect it and mitigate it statewide.
Children are particularly vulnerable because their central nervous systems are still growing and developing. And there's no such thing as a safe level of lead, period.
Over the last several years, we've gotten more and more concerned about the opioid epidemic to try to figure out what we need to do to be able to get that epidemic under control.
At the end of the day, I am an applied researcher whose passion and interest is about really changing lives of individuals and communities. As an example, if you look at the opioid epidemic, it shows up more in rural communities. But substance use has always been higher in rural communities. And so what's different now is that same demographic in terms of rural communities with something that's more deadly. What I'm more interested in saying is, how do we stop individuals from ever getting in the pipeline? It's about really looking upstream and understanding what are the underlying factors that lead to misuse of substances that eventually lead to addiction.
Our largest project in health is combating neglected tropical diseases in 20 countries simultaneously. We also work in the area of education and workforce development.
A small group of us came over to RTI about 3 years ago to start a new group that would focus on taking all the research and what was happening and actually putting it in the classrooms, in the hands of teachers who might be able to actually affect change and do something with all the great work that was happening at RTI.
We're promoting early grade literacy skills in the developing world and about 40 to 45 million children. Our organization has done fantastic over the last 60 years, and we really look forward to all the changes and all the opportunities as we move ahead into the future.